Hey guys, it's Sep, bringing you another Lichess 45 analysis video. This game is from round 6 against Fisher56, who at the time of the game was rated 1946, and I was 1926 after my game against Riemann. So I didn't really have enough time to prepare for this game because my cat's just decided to join me. I didn't really have enough time to prepare for this game because we agreed the play date really quickly, and it was really early on in the week, and I didn't have enough time to really do anything prep wise. So a lot of this is just from memory. So because I didn't have enough time to prepare against any specific lines for him, I decided just to go back to my old knight f3 repertoire. In this repertoire, usually going like g3, bishop g2, castles, and then aiming for either an English or a Catalan or a reverse Grunfeld or something like that. It's pretty much a repertoire I cobbled together watching Tony Rowe videos, but it's actually served me quite well, and I quite enjoy the positions. So started off knight f3, went d5. I've recently also been looking at the Reti proper with c4 here. I've only recently been studying them, so I wasn't really prepared to try it out in a long play game. And there's always the big drawback, the big problem of playing 2c4 is 2d4, and the positions become a reverse Benoni, where black's quite comfortable and white's this pawn is just a thorn in white's side for most of the game. I have been looking at some of the lines in this position where you go for an immediate b4, and this is Reti's solution to this, I believe, as well, and it's recommended by Victor Bologan as well. I think was it Kasparov in his My Great Predecessor's book said the reason why this isn't brilliant is because of the move f6, the idea of playing e5. But there is a new line after f6 that has started to become quite popular, and it's scoring quite well at high level, which is this awkward looking knight a6 with the idea of dropping it back here and then playing e3. This scores quite well, so if anyone's interested in the Reti proper and scared of the Benoni variation, I suggest looking at these lines because they're quite new, and I think some top players, is it MVL or Grishchuk, play it and have done quite well in the positions. But yeah, that's why I'm not playing c4, but I want to add c4 into my repertoire, maybe for like blitz games or something. But I chickened out and went g3 and went for my usual stuff. Usually when you go g3, they play c6. The thought is that blunting this diagonal is good for black, but it's okay. I mean, it does blunt. I cannot argue it does blunt the bishop. But I found usually in games that last a lot longer, the bishop usually either ends up coming back to f1 anyway and coming back onto this diagonal, or coming out there and coming out this way. So it doesn't really make much difference. I mean, really, I'm only doing this to sort of get castled and safe quickly. But he went bishop f5. And it's not really a move I've come across. Normally, if they play bishop f5, it's after c6 and knight f6, and then going bishop f5 and claiming that this is now a better Slav for black because he didn't have to take on c4. I wish there was a quicker way to get rid of this, but these arrows. But I bet there are. I bet there is, but I'm just terrible at life. So yeah, bishop f5. So maybe he's going for like a sort of London system, or maybe a Slav system, and saying that it's now an improved Slav. Bishop g2. I mean, what else am I going to play really? Knight f3, knight f6. Striking at the center with c4. I'm going to do it anyway. I can castle here, and it's the same. And c6. So now this, people will say this is a Reti Slav, but I believe in the, is it Raymond Keane book, Flank Openings. He calls this the New York system, I think it's called, where it's like where you go for a Slav, and where it's kind of like a reversed London system. And he also names, what is it, the system where bishop g4 is called the Capablanca system. So there's just some names for you if you're interested in these lines, if you want to look them up. So this is called the New York system when you go here, but people will call it a Reti Slav, where they've gone bishop f5. The main theoretical line here is to take, much like you would do in a normal Slav. So the limited knowledge I have on this Slav is if black makes the mistake of going bishop out before taking, you take and go here, and it's uncomfortable for black. It's not winning, but it's just uncomfortable, and then white gets like a pretty good attack going on the queen side. So it's a pretty similar idea. So take, queen b3. So he went queen d7, which isn't, I think it is a move. Looking at the opening books after this, it wasn't one I was hugely aware of, but I thought I cobbled together like the ideas in the game. The main move is queen b6, and the idea is take. White can get his knight there, but black can argue he's got these two semi-open files to work with. Well, one open file and one semi-open file. You can argue that that rook's already developed, and I developed it for him. So it's an even game here, I'd say. Black has some structural problems, but white doesn't really have much to go with. Other moves are, so there's this move. So in these fianchetto lines, an idea for black, especially in the English, is to go make this battery with the bishop and queen, and then go bishop h3. In fact, in my game against Riemann, that I covered in my last video. He, in fact, did this line. In fact, he also went Queen C. He went Queen C1. So this is, yeah, it's exactly the same idea Riemann played. So the idea is you just both develop, and then, I mean, in the main theoretical lines, going E3, E6 is the line, but you can, I guess, do this, trade those off, and then play that if you want. I don't know. I've not really looked into this line that much, because Queen C8's a sort of, it's not a move that people will come to immediately. There's also the really weird looking Bishop C8, where you just go, oh, I made a mistake putting the bishop out, let's put it back. Setting up for the next game, as Ben Feingold would say. So Queen D7. I thought for a bit here about what I could do, and I thought that this was possibly the most active. So the idea is attacking the queen. It's also unleashing the bishop, putting pressure on these points. I will admit I didn't really expect his response, which was Queen C7, attacking the knight. Also attacking the bishop, for those of you who didn't notice, which would also be pretty annoying. I didn't see this, but after he played it, I was positive that I wasn't in trouble, because I remembered in similar positions that this knight's not actually hanging. So if you want to take a second and think why the knight's not really hanging, and what I can play instead without looking at the moves on the side, you can take a moment now. So the knight's not hanging, so I can just do something that defends the bishop. So I played castle. The actual theoretical move here is knight c3, but it's the same point that's being made. Is after castle, if he takes, then he loses this pawn and is going to lose the rook. So the line is exactly the same with knight c3, because you're now blocking the attack of the bishop, and the bishop's also incidentally is also now defended by the rook. So again, if takes, we take, and we're winning the rook in the corner. He took a while to look at this and played e6. So my idea still works. I can still leave the knight technically en prie. But I was getting a bit I wasn't so sure on my own ability to just not see when the knight's actually hanging, and I think the only way the knight's not hanging is if he the only time the knight is hanging is when he plays either b6 or knight c3 or knight d2. So when one of those moves come, then the knight's hanging, or bishop there, either way. But I was just like, I better not tempt fate, so I played d4, defending the knight and taking my share in the center. There is also this sneaky line, d3. So the idea is, after, say, bishop d6, attacking the knight again, So the knight's definitely on pre. I have this awesome looking move, knight c4. And the idea is after takes. Again, we're taking this. The bishop's now, the line of the bishop's now discovered. After queen takes, bishop takes, and we're going to win the rook in the corner as well. It's also nice to point out why this doesn't work after d4. So actually, I'll leave this for again for another little puzzle. Why can I not do that after d4? Play that same line after d4 if bishop d6. If after bishop d6. Ooh. So d4, bishop d6. So the reason I can't do this anymore, or why this doesn't work, after takes, 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 bishop takes, because now the bishop's no longer on d3, guarding the e4 square, black can play bishop e4. And now if I take the rook, he takes back immediately. If I take the bishop, he can take it back with his knight, and I'm just down a piece. So that's why it doesn't work after d4. He played knight bd7, bishop f4, which is just a logical move, putting it opposite the queen. In these positions, like in the Catalan, the bishop usually ends up going there, and this is kind of like a Catalan now, where we've exchanged these two pawns. But his bishop's out for some reason, out of the pawn chain. So we exchange the queens. He takes with the knight, which is a bit of a shame. I would have preferred to damage his pawn structure, but there wasn't really. Yeah, it's a bit uncomfortable, so I just took rook c1, so taking over the file. He defends the file, or challenges the file, should I say. I played knight c3 because I didn't want to trade rooks straight away, and I would like to trade rooks on my terms where I end up with the file. So after knight here, so I played knight takes, expecting something like knight takes, and then to go knight b5, and then after rook takes, I'm threatening this square, so he has to defend it or give himself a flight square. So the computer suggests f6 here, but if say he didn't address it, so I have things like this, which is just uncomfortable for what am I doing? I didn't want to do that move, but it's just uncomfortable. King's moving out into the center. I'm not even sure if bishop there or actually probably knight there is probably better, and then after this not even take, going there straight away. Yeah, that's probably better actually, because after that we'll win the rook in the corner. But he surprised me and took with the king, and my idea for some reason I thought my idea with knight b5 didn't work after the king's there, but it still works. I mean, it's hitting the pawn, and I can just chuck, and I can take the rook and then drop my knight in there. I don't know why. I spent a while on it, and I thought, I'll just put my knight on this square, and if he takes, I'll take with the pawn. If he plays b6. He's weakened all these squares around his queen side, and I can start challenging those. Maybe go e6 and bishop f1. Play bishop f6, bishop b6, sorry. So he wants to take there, damage my king side. Wasn't too happy about letting that happening, so I played knight c5 check. If he moves away, what was the line I thought of? If he moves away, yeah, something like this. It's just annoying. And I just win a pawn. Yeah, probably just knight back there. And this position looks quite nice for black. Again, I'm probably going to go something like this and move my bishop over to the queen side. Back to what was actually played. So he instead took that. I took with the pawn. I'm going to try and make something of my queenside majority. The computer says this is relatively even, this position. I think it's a slight pull for white. We both double on the half open file, and he plays king e8. So the computer suggests going rook over here and attacking, like creating some weaknesses on these pawns. King e8, it's kind of that move kind of shows your hand. Maybe you wanted to castle, and you wanted to castle by hand, but it's quite obvious his threat. He wants to put the knight there. So after king e8, I defended. After knight there, I decided to put my bishop on this nice outpost square. And I seem to have a habit of putting my bishops on outpost squares. I had a game, was it 2 seasons ago, where I got my bishop, I think it was on that square actually. Was it? No, it was on this square. It was outpost on d6 again, and it ended up with a win. I ended up winning his queen. Which I might do that video of that game sometime in the future. But yeah, bishops belong on outposts or something like that. He played knight b6. So my threat with, by the way, my threat with bishop d6 here is to go b5 and essentially trapping his rook. So he has to give away the exchange somehow, probably taking there or taking there, I don't know. But I was just like, yeah, I'm up the exchange. He played knight b6, which doesn't address my threat. So I played b5. He played knight a4. So this is a losing move. I mean, the best was probably just accepting the loss of the exchange. Because if something like, let me think. What did the computer say? I believe the computer said this was like only slightly. It wasn't even a pawn evaluation for white, because the position is blocked and you can't really do much with your rooks after, what was it? Was it take here or something? No, that's stupid. It would be take here. Yeah, and the position's blocked, so the rooks can't really do anything. And black's going to win this pawn. And in the long term, if I can trade off some pawns and open some files, it's in the long run going to be beneficial for white, but it's not winning. But actually going knight a4 now is 100% losing. So if you want to have a think, don't look at the moves in the sidebar. I need to get rid of those. And think and just try and work out the combination of why this is losing. Okay, so simply just working out that pawn takes, knight takes, and now pawn takes. So in this position, my opponent resigned, but after, say, knight check, king captures the rook. Well, here he can't capture the rook because he gets checkmated. And obviously going somewhere like here, I have time to take that. Again, he can't take there because he's going to get checkmated. Probably here, actually. And there's nothing he can do about that pawn queening. So in this position, my opponent resigned. So that was my second win out of 3 games. So 1 draw, 2 wins. So yeah, it was equal all the way up to here, or a slight pull for white, or maybe here actually. I'm not sure Queen b6 was did much good for his position, but actually yeah, it was, because after this. Yeah, so that's the position that would have given black more of a fighting chance. And I thought I was just winning after b5, like 100% winning. And after the game and seeing that black has this resource of locking up the position, and this is a really nice knight, by the way. Yeah, so he's locked up the position, and my rooks can't really do much because the only open file is now blocked by a knight on an outpost. So probably in the long run the position's winning for white, but it's not easy, which just goes to show material advantage is not everything. So yeah, so that was my round 6 game. If anyone's got any comments on lines or any questions on why I did one thing rather than another, please leave a comment. I do read all the comments that are made on my videos, even stupid ones. So yeah, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.